So, just Pearly Things, the red pill girl that thinks that slavery was embellished and that women don't deserve to vote, just popped up on Piers Morgan's show. And I haven't watched the video. I'm gonna watch it with y'all, and I'm gonna see what she says, because at this point, I'm tired of Pearl. I'm not a fan of her. I never have been a fan of her. I have nothing against her, but I'm very much against her opinions and her beliefs. So let's see what Pearl has to say on Piers Morgan's show.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
Okay. Well,
Yo, already this is off to a horrible start. Piers chose the craziest clip and said, "Is this you?" He said, "Bro, is this you, bro? Is this you? That's crazy, bro. Is this you?" Pearl, why you had to go say that? Just because women choose to do whatever it is they want to do sexually with their lives doesn't mean that they don't deserve to vote. Like, that's crazy. Oh, you're exercising freedom in America? Your right to vote? Fuck that.
Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Sanctity, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you'd be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about, but overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, you know, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, you know, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
What's that going to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men...
That's crazy to me, though. Like, to sit there and say, oh, well, you know, women back then, they said great things about the lack of rights that they had. Yeah, when you grow up thinking that you don't deserve rights, surprise, surprise, some of them might write books and excerpts about how amazing it is that they have no rights. They're going to be happy about it. Same way that Pearl sat there and was talking about, you know, George Washington was actually a pretty polite slave owner, you know.
You also said George Washington was viewed from his slaves like a father. I guess that's part of what the myth, I guess, is that not all slave owners were evil. Some were father figures like George Washington.
I used to read actual slave accounts, and I was surprised how many didn't say bad things about their owners after they were free.
Play the thing. Just play the thing.
You guys never heard of Stockholm Syndrome?
47, let's see, 47 of George Washington's slaves tried to escape. Would you try to escape if you loved your master?
Maybe.
They say he was like a father figure to his slaves. Whole time George Washington got slaves trying to run away from him, talking about doing the whole dash from George Washington. And George Washington is literally putting out flyers like, hey, y'all, can y'all help me retrieve my human property that ran away in the name of freedom? You know, the very thing that I fought for, the very thing that I defeated the British for. Yeah, one of my slaves wants that thing called freedom. Can you guys help me take her back? That George Washington, look, I respect George Washington as an American figure, but we got to understand the fact that just because an oppressed class agreed with their oppression doesn't mean it was okay. When you're born into a society that tells you you're not equal because you're black, or you don't deserve to vote because you're a woman, chances are people that belong to those groups will internalize those beliefs. Whereas if they lived in a different time, they'd probably see it from a different perspective. Like, I don't know if my birth race or my birth sex or gender determines my ability to participate in society as an equal citizen.
Are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped
No,
about
do you know what it's sort of
I
like?
know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
But they just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean,
Allegedly? What do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they were. That's
actually,
incorrect. The first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it was. She did not inherit it.
This is the same thing as saying, well, back during slavery, there were black slave owners. Yeah, for there's that one black guy that owned slaves. Therefore, the rest of slavery, which is based on black people being eternal slaves under American law, that's all cool because there's that one black guy that owns a plantation. That's crazy. Your Honor, everybody else be killing people, so shit. You know what I'm saying? What are we talking about? Just because one lady owned property back then, or there was a millionaire lady back in the 1800s, doesn't change the fact that the rest of women had no rights. You think women made up women's suffrage back then? You think they were all living in the lap of luxury and just woke up one day and said, yo, I ain't gonna lie, this good life shit sucks. I'm not fucking with it. Let's go protest. Stop, bro. Just because there's that 1% doesn't all of a sudden change what's actually happening. Just because 1% of men are out here having sex with all the girls and living a nice social life doesn't mean that all the men out here are having good lives and having sex and living a good social life. Just because 1% of men seem to be having all the fun and doing all this doesn't mean all of us are living that lifestyle. Right, fellas? So can we please see through the crazy logic that Pearl is using here?
What law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
Your big push is that you care about men, and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't made the point yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists.
Well, then, okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open. They're hiring because I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Go be on the front lines of the military. And then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely not. You said you were volleyball.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think.
But I don't have more strength. I don't have more strength than the average man.
Your right away
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
You also, but you don't want you.
I disagree. I don't think for 1 second that women need to be on the front lines of the military or need to be in the oil rigs to have the right to vote. I just don't believe that. I don't think that that's accurate. Anybody who's ever had a mother that's worked very hard and sacrificed for them to have a good life would realize just because women aren't out here fighting on the front lines in Afghanistan and Iraq or working in oil rigs all of a sudden means that they don't get to have a say in society. If they're contributing to the GDP of the United States, if they're working jobs that need to be worked, if they're providing to the economy, like, what are we talking about? Like, why shouldn't they be able to vote? Not every single person contributes to everything. Like, it's like saying that, oh, well, you've never been in the military, therefore you shouldn't have the right to dictate what the military should or shouldn't do. You've never been on the front lines, you've never done this, you've never done that, therefore you can't say this, you can't say that. At some point, no one's gonna have a say in anything. I don't think women need to be on the front lines or in oil rigs to have the right to vote. I just don't believe that. Some of you might disagree. Now, I do believe that if you put your hands on somebody, you shouldn't be able to sit there and say, well, I'm a woman, and nah. If you over there whooping on somebody and they pop you in your mouth, take the L. But when we start talking about the right to represent your family, your household, what about the women who were taking care of multiple kids, whose the father of the household has passed away, and these women are taking care of these kids by themselves? Or maybe there's a divorce or whatever, and this woman is taking care of these kids by herself, but she wants the right to be able to vote and represent her family in local law, state law, federal law. What are we talking about here? Let's think about this beyond the, oh, well, she's not going to be right next to me shooting the 240 Bravo, therefore she can't vote. Like, let's actually use our brains here.
You want divorce to be made illegal?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is it all down to the women?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why feminists?
You asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage,
I
just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually.
Yo, no, bro. Yo, look at the look on Piers Morgan's face. Yo, Pearl. One of the main reasons why I was really disappointed to see Pearl on Piers Morgan was because I knew some shit like this was gonna happen. Pearl is one of those people that has way too many horrible receipts on the internet for her to be saying the shit that she's saying. Like, the idea that divorce should be illegal is just stupid. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. The world is not a perfect place. Like, I feel like people who believe this are either A, just really, really hardened and brainwashed, or really, really naive. The reality is that sometimes, bro, people change. You marry someone that seems perfect, and 2-3 years down the line, they're cheating on you left and right, or they're on drugs, they've gone crazy, they become abusive. Life happens. And sometimes being in a relationship with somebody is far more dangerous to you and the health of your children than it is for you to stay married to that person. If you as a man or a woman cannot properly carry on your, like, let's say, as long as you got your arms, your legs, and you're working, you're functioning fine. If you are terrorizing your own household as a partner, your partner, be they a man or a woman, should not be forced to stay with you in spite of the fact that you have lost your mind. You're whooping on them, beating on them, doing drugs, doing this, doing that. You going crazy, and we're supposed to sit there as a country and say, y'all can't divorce because marriage. Like, what are we talking about? There are situations where divorce is the only reasonable solution. The idea that we should just force people to just die or be wounded or whatever because marriage is crazy. What about the people who are abusive? Why is it only, if you're just going to divorce, marriage isn't for you? Well, what about the people that are abusive? Is marriage for them? What about the people that are addicted to drugs? Is marriage for them? What about the people who are gambling the family's money away? Is marriage for them? Life is bigger than just this gender war. Families aren't perfect. It's not just gender war. The world is bigger than gender war. Just keep it 100.
That's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think,
Hang
on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
You might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
Isn't she exercising her rights as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering.
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
Seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm saying
the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate, where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency, so I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I'd like to say, even before the 1920s,
do you know what I mean?
Women could speak openly. This idea that, women couldn't talk the last 500 years, there have been women throughout
the
history
American state education system has failed before.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea women could never do it.
Do you know what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs.
The question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in
this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive? It's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obesity. I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee. I mean,
Yo, Pearl is wild, bro. Pearl is wild. Look, I just disagree with the idea that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Anyone who's had a single mom understands, the reality of your mom truly hustling and grinding for you. And the idea that your mom shouldn't have the right to vote when she sacrificed so much and worked so hard and contributed to this country is crazy to me. So I think Pearl is wrong in that sense. I think Pearl is wrong about the idea that people shouldn't be allowed to divorce either. The idea that divorce should be illegal is just ridiculous. If people don't want to be together anymore, so be it. As a man, me personally, if my wife came to me and said, hey, I'm leaving, I don't want to be with you anymore. For what? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? If you don't want to be here anymore, we signed a contract saying that we were Team Crenshaw. We signed a contract saying we were Team Crenshaw for life, and you decided you're out of here? All right, cool. I'm not going to sit there and tell the white man to stop you from leaving. All right, bye. I'm good on that, bro. I'm chilling. The idea, this whole, you can't leave me, that's illegal. Only a beta male would ever do some shit like that. That's beta male behavior. Oh, you don't want to be married anymore? You want to leave? Bye. I bet. This whole stay with me shit, that's soft. That's just my opinion. Divorce shouldn't be illegal. If two people aren't working, they're not working. It's better for the kids if two toxic parents are separated than together causing chaos. So that's just what I think. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I'm sure some of y'all might agree with Pearl. That's crazy, but hey, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.